Shut up!
I just wanted to say hi to that.
Shut up. Face the wall. Turn around. Turn around. Close to the movement, sir. Give me your hand. Give me your hand.
Yeah. And you weren't really sparring. You were fighting. We were fighting all the time. And just guys getting dropped all the time. And that was just the kind of gym that I was.
But this wasn't a real fight. He was pulling punches. He wasn't giving it his full effort.
Joe Rogan fires back at whispers of Jake Paul's supposed arrest tied to allegedly scripted boxing bouts. Rogan makes it clear no shiny career moment justifies gambling with your life. He reminds everyone boxing is genuinely dangerous and should never be brushed aside casually. Reports say Rogan thinks Paul needs to rethink his choices before entering the ring again, because chasing fame or cash through reckless fights simply isn't worth the fallout afterward.
Probably seen some of the controversy he's been taking.
Joe Rogan made it clear boxing is brutally dangerous, and fighting recklessly can bring devastating consequences. He also cautioned that dabbling in illegal or scripted schemes could trigger serious legal trouble for any fighter. Life ends up
because then you can't think, you can't do things, you don't know what the fuck you're doing in life. It's like literally everything is the quality of your ability to think. And
Nikisa Badarian stepped in to clarify that neither Jake Paul nor his team committed any wrongdoing or tried to rig the fight. He tackled the widespread rumors alleging the bout with Anthony Joshua was scripted, flatly calling them completely false. According to Nikisa, people online pushed wild claims, including one post suggesting there was an agreement for Joshua not to knock out Paul. He explained Joshua fought honestly and decisively, ignoring any supposed arrangement. Nikisa emphasized that Jake trained, competed, and took real risks inside the ring. He also noted that legal action is being pursued against individuals spreading these false narratives. For Nikisa, this clarification is vital to protect the reputations of both Jake and his team, making it clear to fans and critics alike that the fight was legitimate and unscripted, and any idea of a fixed outcome remains baseless.
I've seen the script, rigged, this, that, and the other. Do you think now, at the very least, that talk goes away? Broke his jaw, went in there against Anthony Joshua. At the very least, do you think that you guys can move on from that? Like, that won't follow you?
No, I don't. I actually, our lawyers are actively going after a number of people. One who claims to be a lawyer himself online. I don't remember the name or the handle, but it was something that had like 200,000 likes. And basically this post said there was an agreement for AJ not to knock out Jake, but AJ disregarded the agreement and decided to not get his payday, but knock out Jake Paul. So it's pretty astonishing what people say. Your dear friend Lou DiBella, saw him put up a bunch of ridiculous things and even said, Nikisa, go ahead and sue me. But this wasn't a real fight. He was pulling punches. He wasn't giving it his full effort.
And so for the people, again, just to clear this up, because I asked Eddie this question, I'll ask you the exact same question. Once and for all, was there any sort of arrangement as far as it should go this many rounds? Because that's the one that I've heard. Oh, Anthony agreed to 3 rounds, 4 rounds. Can you tell us in black and white if there were any talks of any kind between the network, the promotion, the fighter?
There has never once in Jake Paul's career been any talk of that sort, of anything to do with the fight being anything but a real fight that has exactly the same situation as any professional fight. And that's exactly the same thing here for the Anthony Joshua fight. It's just beyond mind-blowing that people would think that. Anthony Joshua was on record saying that if he didn't finish him in the first round, that would be disappointing, that it would be a failure. The narrative changed as we got closer to fight night and obviously post-fight, and I understand why, but they were pretty adamant it would take max 2 rounds.
Joe Rogan has already told Jake Paul to never pull something reckless like this again. He bluntly warned him to rethink accepting high-risk boxing matchups, stressing that no career moment is worth gambling your life. Rogan insisted the dangers inside the ring are absolutely real, and chasing staged or risky fights for fame or money can bring brutal consequences. Safety and responsibility have to come first for every fight.
The thing, look at all them celebrities like dude from the Mighty Ducks, the little boy actor that got strung out on drugs. And all his fronts and all his teeth were missing from being on meth or whatever, whatever drug of choice he was on. There's no coming back from that. The people who like dissipate their teeth through drug usage, you don't get like a second set. So if I'm not mistaken, the dude from Mighty Ducks, somebody like he's been clean, and they gave him a makeover, and he has like pretty much fake teeth. So yeah, the teeth are gonna be cooked. Now, I agree with the other part that Rogan was saying, but let's keep going.
I think he went into that fight knowing that was probably going to happen, and ultimately, the big win for him would be that he was even willing to do it, and that he could do well for a little bit.
Yeah, and I've already expressed my thoughts on this. I'm not giving no props for a person who says I am a real deal boxer because I went in and get smashed and got my jaw broken, but I lasted longer than Ngannou. But I was crazy enough to try. Because, to be honest, we're way past the honeymoon stage with a person like Jake Paul. You've been in this for long enough to go through fight camps, dedicate your time, effort, energy, money, spar with people. You spar with some quality names because you have resources and money or whatever. So we're well past that, to the point where you just get credit for stepping in. You maybe got credit your first fight or whatever, first couple of fights, for coming from your background and, you know, stepping in and fighting, but we're well past that. You have a box rec. You were being ranked by sanctioning bodies in.
Eddie Hearn dropped a calculated breakdown of the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight, spotlighting the meticulous plotting behind every move inside the ring. He explained that the bout unfolded exactly by design, with Joshua's team favoring patience and controlled pressure instead of wild punches. The strategy was to methodically test Jake Paul, exposing flaws and draining his stamina before landing finishing blows. Hearn stressed that this calculated approach represents real professional boxing, where success depends on discipline, timing, and tactical execution rather than raw power. Every stage of the fight was choreographed to keep control while steadily asserting dominance, showing how smart planning often outweighs brute strength. According to Hearn, this formula not only sealed the win, but also highlighted the art of boxing as a deliberate, intelligent contest, where precise execution and calculated decisions define champions and separate seasoned fighters from novices.
Before the fight, I'm going to break him down, and then I'm going to knock him out. And that's exactly what he did. I thought it'd be all over within 3 rounds. But, you know, when I got in the ring after, because I was shouting, just, you know, anywhere, armed. I got in, he went, what are you rushing me for? And I was like, oh, sorry. So, but like, obviously he knows what he's doing, and actually now quite pleased that we got the rounds, to be honest.
Yeah, I saw you said that. Really random, I was on Twitter and I saw Jake Paul's mum said she wants to get in the ring and punch you. She said she doesn't like the smug look on your face. She is promoting her book, so I'm not sure if she wants, you know. But did you see that? What did you think of that?
No, I was very sad, because I couldn't have been nicer and more respectful of Jake and what he's done. And I think Logan's amazing. I think he's an incredible athlete. And I shook Jake Paul's dad's hand in the ring, you know. And if I would have seen Mum, I would have said, all right. But I think over the years, we've obviously had our beef, and she probably don't like me anyway. And I am probably a little bit smug. I wasn't smug after the fight, because I would have been more smug if it was all over in a round. So, no, I'll give Jake respect. And, yeah. Sorry, Jake's mum doesn't like me, but if she can send me a free...
Adam Catterall delivered a blunt and no-nonsense breakdown of the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight, spotlighting the massive imbalance modern boxing creates when popularity dictates matchups. He argued Jake Paul's fast rise in the sport owes far more to social media clout and celebrity fame than to real technical skill or ring experience. According to Catterall, even while consciously holding back full power, Anthony Joshua showed elite control, timing, and accuracy, landing shots that inflicted real damage and exposed the class gap between the fighters. This sharp contrast fueled speculation that parts of the fight were shaped by outside pressures instead of pure sporting intent. Rumors spread that Jake Paul allegedly tried to control or manipulate the fight's pace to reduce danger and protect appearances, echoing wider worries about celebrity boxing favoring spectacle over authenticity. Catterall's remarks highlight how modern hype-driven bouts can warp competitive integrity, shifting focus toward entertainment and marketability instead of skill, strategy, and the traditional principles defining professional boxing that once defined the sport for generations.
Own credibility, I've got to knock you out, but I've got to try and knock you out where I'm not hurting you as much as what I could if I unleashed. And with the punch you said that he landed, it's not his best punch,
it's
his most powerful punch, right? Yep. And he's shattered his jaw in 2 places, right? So Anthony Joshua gets his 70 million, whatever it is. But I think he's sitting there thinking, thank God for that. Thank God. On a human level, I've come out, all right, I've sort of, not reputation, but I haven't hurt him as bad as what I could have.
There should be an awful amount of people breathing a massive sigh of relief. Anybody that put that fight together, athletic commissions, like you said.
It wasn't a fight.
No, it wasn't at all. Like you said, it was a prize
Yes.
fight. It was an event. If Anthony damages him, he's got to live with that for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of stress to deal with, you know what I mean? So I'm sure he's bleeding inside of relief. The team that have put him in there, that have negotiated that for him, but the authorities that put that on and commissioned it as a proper boxing match, I've no doubt.
Does that go on his...
Yeah, it's a professional boxing
Do you know what? If I was Anthony Joshua, I would be saying, I don't want that on my record. But for the credibility of them putting the fight on, they would have said to him, no, we've got to say this. It's been commissioned. It's going to be a proper fight. And I found it, I love my boxing, but I just find the whole thing really, really unedifying. You said about get followers. You mentioned Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury is nowhere near his level of getting like a British title fight or whatever. Nowhere near. So it's basically he's like...
Beat Jake Paul.
Well, beat Jake Paul. But so
but what I'm saying is that 100. I stand by that, and I think Tommy would admit that. You know what I mean? To become a British champion, it's a very prestigious thing to do.
Sam Jones delivered a brutally honest and unfiltered take on the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight, stressing that the matchup was hard to watch not due to savage exchanges, but because glaring technical flaws were on display. He pointed out that Jake Paul struggled with core elements of boxing, including basic defense, proper footwork, and timely reactions to Joshua's combinations. Those repeated mistakes created an ongoing sense of imbalance throughout the fight, exposing the obvious gap in experience and skill. Observers noted that certain sequences looked almost choreographed, as if the action had been subtly guided to stop either fighter from taking excessive risk. While Jake Paul clearly put in serious training, Jones suggested the talent gap and ring intelligence mismatch, paired with alleged signs of scripted pacing, contributed to a viewing experience that felt uncomfortable for those expecting genuine competitive tension. The fight highlighted the dangers of blending celebrity appeal with professional-level boxing, showing how spectacle can sometimes overpower skill and authenticity, leaving fans questioning the credibility of contests where performance and entertainment...
Anthony Joshua knocking out and breaking Jake Paul's jaw. Just talk to me right now about the fight itself and then we'll break it down.
Bit of a crap fight, if we're all honest. It was like watching Jaws 2 when all the kids went out on their boats and they were in the middle of the sea and the shark was just surrounding the boat, just like that's what it was like. It was just like a shark circling its prey and just like it was like nibbling and eventually got him. But Jake Paul showed big plums in there, no matter what anybody says about him, because I've seen people say, yeah, he went in there to survive. Yeah, okay, he went in there to survive. He's a guy that's been boxing a couple of years against a unified champion of the world who can really punch. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best fight. It just wasn't the best thing to watch, was it? Like it was just, it weren't great. I just want to see now Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua. I think at the stages of their careers they're at, AJ and Tyson Fury, we don't need to see interim fights, Andrew. We don't need to see interim fights because they're just potential banana skins. We want to see two of the best heavyweights of this era going at it. And
after the fight, Luke Thomas stepped up as a sharp critic, pushing back against the glowing attention Jake Paul was getting. He stressed that entering the ring with a world-class fighter like Anthony Joshua should never be applauded without scrutiny. Thomas claimed the spectacle surrounding the bout drowned out the very real dangers involved. Observers speculated that Paul's pre-fight bravado, mixed with certain in-ring behaviors, matched rumors that he tried to script parts of the fight. Thomas warned that praising such contests creates a dangerous precedent, blurring the line between entertainment and real competition.
Kind of feeds into the story of him being perhaps a little bit better than we sometimes think, although I don't really co-sign on that. Let me make the point. The first point is, I think people are overreacting a little bit. People were suggesting when I got on social media that this was like the biggest farce they'd ever seen in their life, and that this was, how could he fight like this, and this was a disaster, and Joshua should have got him out there earlier. There is probably some evidence to suggest that I don't think Joshua was carrying him in the sense of, hey, they coordinated this ahead of time. But was Joshua really stepping on the gas? No, I don't think he was really stepping on the gas. There were times I think he clearly pulled his punches, partly because Jake was squirmy and rotating on the outside. Also in part because I think, as I indicated on Friday, he's watching this guy with pretty bad footwork. He was literally tripping over himself, and he realized he just can't keep this up. So, okay, so there was that. But people were acting like, like how could this be? How could this have happened? Guys, on Friday's MK, and then before that, earlier in the week on Submission Radio, they asked me on Submission Radio, how do you think he's gonna fight? And I'm like, he's gonna run. And they're like, you don't think he's gonna clinch? I'm like, okay, he'll clinch at times, but then the rest of the time he's going to run. Like, what other way was this going to go? What other way was this?
Chael Sonnen delivered fierce criticism over the bout, warning that fights like this are simply too dangerous to happen under normal conditions. He painted the matchup as less a real boxing contest and more a fight for survival, where both physical harm and reputational damage sat dangerously high. Sonnen stressed that inexperienced fighters stepping into the ring with elite professionals are placing themselves in life-threatening danger. The rumored scripting involving Jake Paul, paired with these risky matchups, only amplifies the problem. According to Sonnen, the growing culture of mixing celebrity with sport threatens boxing's integrity while unnecessarily putting participants at risk. Analysts observed that Jake Paul's approach during the fight seemed unusually cautious at times, sparking questions about his true intentions. While some viewed this as smart strategy, others suspected certain moments looked choreographed to let Joshua dominate without excessive danger. This reportedly lines up with rumors that Paul tried to influence the pacing and sequences to protect himself and maximize entertainment value.
That was not a boxing match. It just wasn't. Jake Paul had a very healthy fear for his life while he was in there, and he was moving as such. He was staying away from him. He was running away. He was trying to get distance. Then he was trying to step in to win this athletic competition, and then he's trying to get out of the way so that he doesn't get hurt again. I mean, he was fighting. Then it turns to where he can't stay away anymore. So now he's got to go the other way. He's got to go forward. So now he's clinched him. Now he's dropping down to his knees. He's going below the waist. He's getting to double leg positions. He was fighting. These guys were fighting. Jake was fighting for his survival, and you could so see it. You could see this animal who's been caged and is just trying to make it through, not even kill its prey, just make it through. And it was incredible. It was really incredible. So on the back end, some of the comments that I made or that I had heard were so confusing to me. It was a very good competition. I will tell you, it breaks my heart too that Anthony Joshua can't get him out of there in one round. Dave Portnoy had made a comment before the fight. He said, I like Jake. I wish well for Jake. Of course I'm taking Joshua. And then Portnoy made his point. And he said, because I believe in boxing. This isn't if I'm cheering for Jake or if I think that Joshua's more experienced or better. I believe in boxing. I believe boxing's real. If boxing is an actual sport, if it is an actual sweet science, then of course a guy that's done it 11 times cannot compete with the Olympic champion.
That's it for today's video. Stay locked in until next.